a spoiler-filled review for Incredibles 2. That means there are spoilers. So leave now. This is your last chance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, this is better than I thought it was going to be. The trailers made it seem like it seemed very direct-to-video quality, which in some ways it still was. I do feel like the first half of the movie could have easily gone with some major rewrites, because as far as story goes for the first half at least, it's kind of weak. It's essentially just the same story of the first movie, but we're flipping the genders this time, like the direct-to-video Disney sequels that they kept putting out a dime a dozen, right? Like how Little Mermaid, it was the daughter wants to be a mermaid even though she's a human, just like how in the first movie the human wanted to be a mermaid. Or in Lady and the Tramp 2, the girl is the street dog, the boy is the pampered one. You know, that over and over. They kept just doing the same thing but reversing it. And it was never clever or original, and frankly kind of lazy and stupid. They kind of did the same thing here, which was disappointing. I would have liked to see more of the family dynamic between them, because it really was just the first movie, for the first half at least, but just gender reversed. It just was weak sauce. But that's really the only problem I had with it. But the second half was really good. And I mean, the first half wasn't, like, all terrible. I did enjoy some of the parts with Jack, like the part where he's fighting the raccoon. That was hilarious. I was hoping that he would end up domesticating the raccoon and he would end up being their pet. Like how in Meet the Robinsons they did that with the dinosaur. I was hoping they would kind of do that with the raccoon, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. And also the part with Edna and Jack, that was hilarious. I am hoping that how the first DVD, the first Blu-ray had the short showing him with the babysitter. I'm hoping the second movie will have a short with him and Edna when that finally hits Blu-ray, because I want to see what happened. I want to see how they bonded. I'm sure there's some hilarious stories behind that Pixar is already working on. I'm crossing my fingers that they are, at least. That was funny, just like him walking down the hall, Jack walking down the hall next to her, and she has her little cigar or cigarette or whatever, and then he has his lollipop. That was so funny. And just, I was cracking up. My stomach hurt from laughing so hard during those scenes. Any scene with Jack was just golden. But yeah, the B story with Elastigirl saving the world, that was kind of, I don't know. I feel like the family should have had more of a team. I mean, they do team up at the end. You know, we do get that, but I would like to see that throughout the entire movie. Because it's not like in the Avengers. Avengers is a great example. It's fine if you want to do, like, the strong female character thing, but you gotta have equality. You can't just have the male taking the back seat. Because that was one problem that I had. I'll get to that in a minute. But with a movie like the Avengers, where you have, well, genders on the same team, but they each balance out each other's strengths and weaknesses. You don't ever have one character of a gender taking a backseat to another character. It's because there's equality there. That's a good example. This one felt like a typical sitcom from just any sitcom from like the 70s onward. Any quote-unquote dysfunctional family sitcom where it's always like the dad is stupid and needs the wife to fix his problems. I'm so freaking sick of that trope. It's old, it's outdated, and let's be honest, if it were the opposite way, it would be considered sexist and misogynistic. So I don't know why we get a double standard. It's just infuriating to me that in a time where everyone's calling for equality, that this is still going on. It's just annoying to me. So I really wish that they had just had them all turn up as a family instead of having Mr. Incredible take a backseat. That was just silly. I was surprised at who the villain was, though. Apparently everyone else figured it out. I apparently am really dumb, because I couldn't figure out that it was the sister. I thought it was the brother the entire time. I was getting Alistair Cray vibes from him from Big Hero 6. He even kind of looks like him. I was thinking, okay, he's the bad guy. He's acting a little too nice, which props to, what's the actor's name? Real quick, let me Google it. I have it on the top of my head, I just don't remember Bob Odenkirk, that's his name. Okay, yeah, props to Bob Odenkirk. He did some amazing voice work. Every line was just so good, so perfectly delivered. He was just so energized, and I thought he was too energized because I thought he was the bad guy, and apparently that was meant to be a red herring because it ended up being Evelyn, which I really have to say real quick, it's funny that that actress, which again, I'm sorry I don't have the actors' names off the top of my head, I keep having to Google them real quick. One sec. I'm just going to pop up IMDb real quick so I can look that up. IMDb is loading. Catherine Keener, that's her name. Yeah, that she is cast, always cast, as, at least in the movies I've seen her in, and Get Out in this one, that she's always cast as someone who uses hypnosis as a weapon. Because it was kind of the same plot, which, also, did anyone notice that her thing was essentially the Mandarin from Iron Man 3 when they revealed it? I was never actually, or the person on TV was not actually the bad guy. I am. Wahaha. Which, that's the Trevor Slattery Mandarin thing from Iron Man 3. Which is funny because the How It Should Have Ended video for Iron Man 3 pointed out how much of a ripoff that movie is of the first Incredibles. And so now we have the second Incredibles ripping off Iron Man 3. So it's all coming full circle. This is what happens when Disney owns all the companies. Yes. I still enjoy it. I think the action scenes were really fun. I'm so glad I saw this in, not the IMAX, but the local theater that I have has basically an IMAX screen, but it's not like branded as an IMAX, but it's about the size of one. It's about the size of one, give or take. So it's basically an IMAX, and it's like half the price, so I always go to that one. And yeah, I'm glad I saw it in that format, because it is fantastic. The action scenes are great. I love the opening scene with the Underminer. I was 7 when the first movie came out, and it took me right back to the age of 7. I felt like I was 7 again when I watched that scene. Which, also, the Underminer is still out there, because they never capture him. So, Incredibles 3, I think maybe they did that way, because John Ratzenberger is in every Pixar movie. I think that way, if and when they decide to do an Incredibles 3, which this one took almost 15 years to come out, so who knows when that's coming out, if ever, they have a way for John Ratzenberger to come back. I think they did that on purpose. I mean, of course they did it on purpose, but I mean, I think that's the reason why they did that. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. It felt very direct-to-video for the first half, but the second half made up for it. Also, the newscaster looked off to me. The animation of the newscaster looked very caricature-y, like a caricature that you would get drawn at a boardwalk, where it's like the exaggerated chin and everything. He just looked really off and creepy. So, I don't know why every other character looked amazing, but he was like the one, like, oh, something went wrong in the animation process. And for that character. Excuse me. But, yeah. Overall, enjoyed it more than I thought I would. First, it is a bit of a step backward, though, real quick, in terms of character development and in terms of plot. It's a bit of a step backward, but the stuff that was good was really good. But it's not as good as the first one, which sequels rarely are, but I did expect, I mean, they had 15 years to come up with the story, almost, and in my opinion, the first half of the story, at least, was weak, so I gotta dock points for that. But that's basically the review. But real quick, I want to talk about the short that premiered before this, because that was something else. It was, I still don't even know what I just watched with this short. The short basically was, was it China or Japan? I think it was China. This Chinese woman making basically a dumpling, like a sentient dumpling child baby thing. And it basically shows the life cycle of this dumpling baby from, like, infancy to adulthood. And some of the moments were really funny. Like, when he reaches the teenage years and he's going out with his friends, the mom has this nice dinner prepared for him. Then he's just like, nope, going out with my friends, see ya, sucker. And he puts on, like, the dark shades. He's like, peace, and walks out. There's no dialogue in the short, by the way. It's all visual. And that was hilarious. There were some generally silly ones. But then at the end, when like he comes back and he's engaged to this woman, and then she's just like, I don't want you growing up, and she just eats the dumpling. I was like, everyone in our theater was just like, oh my gosh, that went dark. I don't care that it ended up being a dream. She ate her baby. What the hey, Pixar? How'd you like that one, kids? Have fun sleeping tonight. I think they forgot they were making a kids short. Oh my goodness. Also, real quick, another thing. Back to Incredibles 2, real quick, back to the they forgot they were making a kids movie thing. There was a lot of needless profanity in this movie. It's not like, Deadpool, where they're throwing the F-bomb out every, other sentence, but it was pretty mild. There was a few OMGs and a few hecks, and when I say that, I mean, like, the actual word. I'm just using the substitute words, but they say the actual word a couple of times, and I don't recall any profanity in the first one, so I don't know why they felt the need for this one to be there. It didn't add anything in the plot. I guess maybe they thought because it's edgy, because people who were kids when the first one came out are adults now, so they're going to hear some big boy curse words. Like, yeah, but kids are still going to see it. At the end of the day, that's still your main audience, so I could have done without the profanity. Also, real quick, if you are, and yes, the rumors are true, if you are epileptic, again, I'm not epileptic, so I don't speak for that portion of the community, of the movie-going community, but just to be safe, just in case you haven't heard this thing going on, there are quite a few scenes with flashing lights really fast, so if you are sensitive to that kind of thing, and I'm not epileptic, and it still kind of gave me a headache in a dark theater, so I can only imagine what it would do to somebody who is epileptic. So, yeah, I would highly recommend maybe just waiting for DVD, so you can watch it with lights on. But you know yourself best. I'm not telling everybody who has epilepsy. I don't represent anybody in the epileptic community in any form. I'm not speaking for everybody of a community of which I'm not even a part. But you know yourself best, but that's just a warning. And they had signs up in the theater that warned people about that too, which seems kind of odd that with hundreds of people with the thousands of people at Pixar who have degrees in this sort of thing, that no one thought that was kind of a bad idea. It's not like you needed to show the hypnosis. You could have easily done that off screen. You could have just seen like a white light, and then have like the eyes be big and be like, then you see they're in trance. You don't need to see like the flashing light. I don't know. Maybe they'll fix that when the DVD comes out. They kind of have to now because I got hot water for it. So yeah, anyway, that's my review. I'm seeing Jurassic World the next Tuesday. I'll let you know what I thought of that one. Until next time.